Today, I'm gonna give you 11 tips that professionals do not want you to know and use in ranked. We're gonna start here and move the whole way down to the number one thing they do not want you to find out about. Number 11, snipers are incredibly overpowered, even more than you think. If allowed, pro teams would easily use 2 or 3 per team in every round of search and destroy on every single map. However, they're actually banned from using more than 1 per team. This is because snipers are the most dominant angle holding weapons in the entire game. Of course, they're not as viable in respawns when it comes to a competitive ranked match, but if you want to win as many as possible on search and destroy and you're teamed up with your friends, your best bet is to use as many snipers as possible. And make sure to download Call of Duty Mobile in the description down below, as they sponsored today's video. This ruling actually came because professional players pretty much mass reported it to the COD esports team, saying that it was unfair to have them in the league. The only reason you don't hear about this being super overpowered is because many people are too scared to talk about it in fear that they'll ruin the rank search and destroy experience for everyone. The only person I see complaining about it is Jokester, and to be honest, he has my respect for even speaking up about it. COD Mobile, where assault rifle players camp in corners and never move with trip mines, and snipers rush around the map mindlessly, trying to quickscope down the sight of their incredibly overweight weapon. Classic. Number 10, you need to time your operator around specific changes in the game mode that you're playing. For example, a hard point rotation. If you're trying to lock down a new point, your best bet is to pop your operator. If you're trying to break the point, your best bet, your operator. Funnily enough, you're actually only allowed to use 1 per team in Call of Duty Champs' rule set, which makes people believe that all of the operators are quite similar in terms of how great they are, but that's not true. Here's a list of some of the best ones that you can use. One that stands out to me is the claw, especially when you're trying to break points. You can just bounce it off walls without exposing yourself to the enemy and cause havoc. If you're going for nukes, of course, you've got kinetic, but to be honest, any kind of explosive usually works really well because for the most part, there's only 1 trophy system in each hard point, so you can just spam it in there and kill everyone. One of the most beneficial for objective-based modes, which may come as a surprise, is the Vortex gun. It provides you great support and lane cutoffs when you're in tricky spots as a team. Number 9, the SKS is actually by far the best gun in the entire game. This may seem surprising to a lot of people who don't watch my top 10 guns videos, but I have said this many times in the past that the SKS is undoubtedly the most god tier weapon we have ever seen. It one-shots across the map while being a semi-automatic fast-firing marksman rifle. Not only that, but if you hit them in the chest or anywhere else, it's pretty much a 2-tap. The only reason it doesn't rank number 1 in every single list for me is because I don't want to see it spammed all day, every day. The only thing that can really counter it is snipers, because they also have the ability to 1-tap except from the chest and above. To some noobs out there, this statement may be controversial, but I honestly think that if you don't see the SKS as the best weapon in the entire game, you have an extreme skill issue when it comes to accuracy. And well, all the pros and Call of Duty Mobile themselves agree, because it's been completely banned for the future of every tournament. Number 8, if you actually want to get better at the game, you're going to need to rush as much as possible. And I know a lot of people say hold angles, play passively, learn the game. That's not correct. You've got to think about it like this. The more repetitions you get in something, the quicker you will learn it. Therefore, the more times you rush in and take a gunfight, the faster you will become at being good. It really is simple math. This doesn't only work for Call of Duty Mobile, but it also works for pretty much every FPS game. And honestly, you could transfer this base of thinking to anything you want to do in life, whether it be learn an instrument, get better at a sport, become a pro chess player, being a YouTuber, creating a company. I mean, even if you're at school, the way you get better at taking exams is literally just looking or writing down the stuff that is being shown to you, getting in those repetitions. It's the same in COD Mobile. Don't listen to any advice telling you to play passive. Surely that's a skill that you can learn, but if you want to get better fast, rush all the time. Number 7, using the same OP angle over and over again in a game will actually be to your detriment. This will negatively affect your gameplay, because after you get the first 1 or 2 kills, the enemy team are going to know where you are and they're going to target you heavily. This is why when you see me go for nukes, I don't camp in the one position for too long. Instead, I'll strategically patrol a side of an entire map, because that way, if people are pre-aiming, nading, or trying to wallbang me, they won't know exactly where I am. Also, this goes well with the rush tip from before, as if you only use 1 angle in every single map that you play, you'll never get better at the game entirely. If you only learn 1 chord on the guitar, you won't know all of the other chords to play better and become an actual musician. If you only hold 1 angle in your game, you'll never know how to dominate the entire map. Of course, it's important to know how to hold specific spots, but please don't overdo it on the same place. It will just hurt you in the long run. This is similar to number 6. In pro play, there is no such thing as camping. Once you find out all of the best spots in every single map, you can actually use them in a variety fashion in any game that you play. This is where strategically positioning positioning yourself comes into your advantage. You can move from one OP angle to the next, and keep rotating around to give yourself the best advantage to getting nukes, covering objectives, and overall just slaying better. The more you play, the faster you'll figure out how much time it takes to get to each spot, and also what routes work for you the best, depending on what gun you're using or how you feel. Number 5, aim training in a simulator training mode actually does very little for you once you have good mechanical skill. I know this may come as a shock to some, but hear me out. If you're only playing a simulation of very generic movements back and forth or moving forward and back, you're never actually going against an opponent that is real. You're never taking any fights that have unpredictable movements because all you're doing is tracing your aim. The majority of the player base move erratically, randomly. When you play the aim training, it's the same coordinated movement the entire time. It's predictable. Once you have decent mechanics, the only way you're going to get better is by playing ranked. Anything else just won't help. I will say you can use it to warm up, but it shouldn't be your number one go-to when getting better. Number 4, you need to think about spawns as you're killing the enemy team. There are specific spawn points around the map that you can see on screen right now for some that will help you better understand how the system actually works. If so many players are on one side of the map, it's obvious the other team are going to spawn on the opposite side. However, if one of your teammates push a little bit too far forward, that could scatter the enemy team and make them spawn all over whatever objective you're playing around. Obviously, this tip is not applicable to search and destroy because everyone spawns in the same place until they switch halves. As you can see, here's some common spawn points for a variety of different super popular maps. I want you to learn these. And between me and you guys, I thought I would never show this kind of stuff, but to be honest, we're 4 years into this, and I just want to tell you guys all I've got. Hopefully the other YouTubers and pro players don't hate me for it. I'd recommend screenshotting all of these, by the way. 3, lethals should be used to open up routes. Many people think of lethals as just something to spam across the map and hope and pray for a kill. That's not how you should be using them. They are a piece of equipment, something that should help you get around and open positions. You should be nading in front of yourself where you want to go so that you can confirm or deny to your team if you're on voice chat what areas of the map are clear and what are not. Once you learn those spawn points from the last tips, you'll also be able to use them to predict kill where you think the enemies are going to spawn. Once you know if or if not players are in the position that you're trying to go to, you should be using your tacticals to facilitate that push or get information about different areas of the map for your team. Too many of us don't use these things to our advantage, but they are extremely beneficial to your survival when playing. Number 2, oftentimes pro players will actually hide their real loadout from the public in their videos in order to keep it for a tournament. So if you see a brand new weapon come out and a pro player has given or stated a loadout that works well for them, take it with a grain of salt, use it for a bit, and test it before it's your go-to, because oftentimes they're reserving the best gunsmith for themselves in order to use it to win money. After the first tournament they use it in, however, I would trust the build that they have shown 100%, because by that point all of the pros they're playing against will already know their build entirely off seeing it on the tournament screens. Personally, I understand why they do this, because I would want any advantage that I can get possible when playing with money on the line. However, I'm sure it's annoying for some of you guys. And number 1 is actually a mindset I want to give you guys so that you can be better at not only Call of Duty Mobile, but anything that you take part of in the future to do with life in general. The only true failure you can make when trying is giving up. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. The only L you'll ever take is in learning. As long as you keep attempting to progress into the future with positive action, you will get better and eventually win. Remember what I said at the start with repetitions. Oftentimes you'll fail, but more often than not, after 10 tries, you'll succeed. 100 tries, you'll be much better. 1,000, the difference will be insane. And 10,000 tries at something, you'll be a master. Whether that's to do with using guns, learning spots, movement, game knowledge, or anything that you're trying to progress in life, this rule applies. With that being said, I hope you enjoy, live with purpose, and subscribe.